Every time I close my eyes, I see in front of me.
Let's embark on a journey of knowledge and discovery. Let's learn from the extraordinary lives of the greatest in the art of living.
The art of living.
Join the conversation with hosts Dr. Wael Harasi and Dr. Lamia Al-Haj.
Every day.
From Sunday to Thursday.
From 2:40 to 3:40 p.m.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace and blessing be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear listeners, I salute you the salutation of Islam, the salutation of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a brand new show, The Art of Living. Today's show is a special one because so far I'm on my own. And I would like first of all to pass the regards of Dr. Lamia, who is feeling a little bit under the weather today and won't be joining us. And we have a very special guest who is making her way to the studio at the moment as we speak. And today's topic would be about entrepreneurship. It is a concept that has been very highly advocated by the late Sheikh Alfan Al-Aisari. As we always know, the whole show is revolving on the values that he was trying to spread and the value of great living, how to live life to the most. And of course, entrepreneurship is not something new. However, it is something that the whole society and the government is trying to advocate for and encourage young individuals to go into. In the month of Ramadan, a lot of values that we learn could help us into being young entrepreneurs. However, what does it mean really to be an entrepreneur? And what does it take? How does it help us in our society today? How will it help individuals? How does it help society as a whole? And how can Ramadan help us develop the right skills to be entrepreneurs? There is a concept that we all as a human being should all be entrepreneurs. We should all work for ourselves, to the extent that some might even label people who work as employees as slaves of the new age. It is the new age slavery. I personally do not like this particular word, nor do I agree that we should always aim to be entrepreneurs. However, this is probably going to be something to debate with our guest. You can join us in the show, and you can call us on 24602058. That's 24602058, and give us your opinion. Do you think that every one of us should really go and be independent as an entrepreneur, or do we really need in any society to have employees? And is it really fair to call employees as slaves of the trade? That is all to be discussed today. Personally, anyone who really advocates for entrepreneurship, that is really good. However, my personal opinion on labeling employees as slaves, I don't buy into that. Because if you ask any entrepreneur, do they work individually, independently, in isolation? The answer would always be no. You need a team to work for you. You always look for the most highly skilled team to be with you. You look for someone who has some element of independence, analytical thinking. Now, if you have those and you are employees, is it fair to call them slaves? I believe not. But, well, that's the debate today. And how does entrepreneurship affect our lifestyle? How can we be entrepreneurs, and how can we build ourselves towards an independence? That is today's show, and our guest will be Sharifa Al-Bar'ami, who is a leader in the area of entrepreneurship. We'll have a very quick break, and we'll join you very shortly.
Every time I close my eyes, I see in front of me.
Let's embark on a journey of knowledge and discovery. Let's learn from the extraordinary lives of the greatest in the art of living.
The art of living.
Join the conversation with hosts Dr. Wael Harasi and Dr. Lamia Al-Haj
Every day
from Sunday to Thursday.
from 2:40 to 3:40.
This is the art of living, and today's show is about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship needs skill, it needs patience, it needs perseverance, and of course it needs dedication. And that's remind us of the values that we actually learn from Ramadan. So how can we use Ramadan to be entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurship is the art of being able to start up an idea and develop that idea from its infancy into creating value out of it through a business. It's very easily said, however, it's not an easy task to execute. As I said, you need a lot of perseverance, dedication, and patience. In Ramadan, one of the most learnt values from it and from fasting is patience. So any Muslim who could learn the skill of patience and learn the virtue of patience through fasting from dawn until sunset, it teaches us automatically patience. It builds that skill within us, and it is something that we need as entrepreneurs, and we need it in life, absolutely, in everything in life. I would like to remind you that you can call us on 24602058. Join us. Join the conversation. Do you agree that everyone should be an entrepreneur? Everyone should be independent in the way they work? Or do we actually need employees? What does entrepreneurship mean? What does it add in terms of value to us as individuals? And what does it add to the society? Call us on 24602058. That's 24602058.
The art of living. The art of living.
Ramadan, the time of spiritual reflection and worship. A time of patience, humility, self-discipline, and submissiveness to God. During the holy month, Radio Sultanate of Oman 90.4 FM takes you on a journey from spiritual reflection and enlightenment to family entertainment. Join us all day and all night long here on the Nation Station.
it will come.
The game show is a
It will come.
The game show is about to begin.
Mrs. Lewis, I assume you received the box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Join in and win What's in a Box with Talal. Text your answers with your name together with your phone number to 90408.
Guess what's in a box.
In a box. Be sure that it's your original phone number. Using other GSM numbers for friends or any members of your family will not be accepted.
There are always consequences.
He's testing you.
On the Nation Station 90.4 FM.
Every time I close my eyes, I see in front of me.
Let's embark on a journey of knowledge and discovery. Let's learn from the extraordinary lives of the greatest in the art of living.
The art of living.
Join the conversation with hosts Dr. Wael Harasi and Dr. Lamia Al-Haj
Every day
from Sunday to Thursday.
from 2:40 to 3:40.
Listeners, welcome back. And hooray, we have our guest. We have our guests, and welcome Sharif Al-Barami. It's really a pleasure having you here with us today. And I know the traffic is really bad. We were late many times, and I don't think we could blame anyone apart from the rush hour in Ramadan and all of that. And we appreciate you being here with us despite your very busy schedule. And just a minute or two with you is a bonus for us. So having you for a show and for over half an hour, That's a really good thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear listeners. Thank you for having me here, Dr. Wael. It is my absolute pleasure. I do apologize about the delay. It's not entrepreneurial of me to do that, but it was really beyond my control. But alhamdulillah, we are here now to discuss entrepreneurship, and I really look forward to this show.
Well, at least you're here. Lamia is not here at all. Yeah.
Salamatha. I hope she gets well soon. Inshallah.
Ameen. We all pray for her. Please raise your hands and pray for Lamia too, and for all our brothers and sisters and all our listeners who are not feeling well, that they have a speedy recovery, inshallah. We talked briefly about entrepreneurship and the definition of it. Maybe a lot of people might think it's all to do with business. Is it really?
I don't believe so. I mean, I don't really think so. And, yesterday in preparation to come on the show, I was thinking, okay, how could I define in the most appropriate way what entrepreneurship is? Because right now, a lot of misconceptions are being molded around entrepreneurship, about, the fact that it's just about business. In my opinion, and in many, actually, even economists see entrepreneurship as really it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's entrepreneurship, maybe to define it away from business, it's the actions you take to make decisions which are uncomfortable and take you out of your comfort zone, be it risk, be it bootstrapping, be it whatever it is. The action that's taken is really pushing you away from your comfort zone. And that's why we can say there are people who are entrepreneurial, but they don't own businesses.
So marriage is an entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. It's one of the most complicated entrepreneurship partnerships
so there you go. So any couple, they're both entrepreneurs, and congratulations, you don't need to listen to us.
But it depends, Doctor. Out of your comfort zone. Marriage is supposed to be within comfort zone. Yeah.
Well, I'm advocating for both parties who feel this way or the other. Yeah.
Right.
But yes, as you said, indeed, it's joking aside. It is actually making a strong decision and creating value out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah? And getting into the holy matrimony is creating value of life.
Yes.
It is a hard decision.
Yes.
It's a well thought of decision. And it's not something that you would do while rushing or make a decision irresponsibly.
Yeah. Calculated risk.
It is calculated risk.
Calculated risk.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's exactly what we use in entrepreneurship. At the end of the day, you make a calculated risk. Value creation does not have to be what you have set yourself to gain. And sometimes, and this is why I'm a great believer that there is no failure in entrepreneurship. An entrepreneurial venture is a win-win situation. Even if you don't reach what you set out to reach, the learning journey, the learning process, that's the value being created. Now, if you get what you aim to get at the end of the road, that's a bonus, absolutely. Yeah. In that respect, they are very similar. And again, calculated risk to push your comfort zone boundaries further. Yeah, I would say.
There are several aspects when we talk about entrepreneurship today. We could very easily talk into the business side and, how to be successful and what are the steps we need to take. I would like to bring it more to life, to just look at the bigger picture and see, okay, entrepreneurship is a really good concept. Yeah. And it's a driver towards success. It drives you towards success in business. And as you said, teaching you to learn from failures. So there is no failures as such. They are all opportunities to learn. How can we bring this into our lives? This is the art of living. We need to live life, enjoy life, and live it to the absolute maximum. How can we bring those values into our life, social life?
Yeah, well, I think it's, this is why even when I announced that I will be on the show today, I said I will be talking about entrepreneurship as a lifestyle. Because entrepreneurship cannot be a domain that is separate from what you do for a living. And how you live your life. Whatever you do in business will reflect and needs to be reflected in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Be it patience, listening, making the right decisions, calculating the risk, being, I think, غير مسرفين. I don't know how to say it in English, so that you're not, you don't
abuse. You don't abuse.
You don't overspend and again, entrepreneurship and making money out of entrepreneurship. Making the money is merely the means to an end. The end should never be the money. Okay. And that's, I think, a very key message to any entrepreneur or anyone who thinks about getting into entrepreneurship. If you're in it for the money, forget it. You're not an entrepreneur, and you will never be an entrepreneur, because the making money aspect, it's just the means to the goal that you have set. And the goal should have some social aspect to it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't create value to community, customer, society,
and the world
nation,
the world has. Well, I've just interrupted you there.
Sure,
Sorry,
okay.
But I've received actually some comments and said, Sharif is coming today, do not interrupt her. Well, I've just did. Yeah.
Who said that? Because I'm always interrupting people.
Well, I'm only doing 50% of the interruption. Lamia is not here today.
Sure.
So I'll give you her 50%.
Sure.
Okay? So I even forgot what I want to say.
We were talking about entrepreneurship being, lifestyle, and it's just the means to the end of making money.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey. It's not about the goal, as you said. It's not about the money. It's about enjoying the journey, every step of it.
Yes.
Yeah. The goal is just something that you reach maybe in many years. But in those years, do you hesitate? Do you worry? Do you feel anxious? Do you set to yourself a goal that you'll only be happy when you reach? I don't think that's very entrepreneurial.
I don't think so. Again, is entrepreneurship a noun, an adjective, or a verb? In my books, it's a verb. It's an action that you take. It's not a description of something that you have or who you are. It's actually actions that need to continuously be instilled. And that's why we say entrepreneurship is a lifestyle rather than just an act of something that I do on the side and then I live my life differently. Not at all.
That's why we see a lot of entrepreneurs. They are probably not the most successful in academia, in studies. But those who have lived an adventurous lifestyle, and maybe even at school, at the risk of not getting any grades, however, they had in them the ability to make their own decisions,
yes,
to be independent, and to take risks. Sometimes,
yes,
because they're immature at a very young age, they take uncalculated risk.
Yes.
Yeah. However, those are the people who then become very successful in life.
Yes, I would say so. Although I don't like this, and I'm very wary of it. This segregation between to be a good entrepreneur, you have to be bad at academia or a dropout. I think there has been also, that's another misconception, because of some certain names like the Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg,
Yes.
Bill Gates, and Steve Jobs. These are exceptions to the rule. What we are seeing more and more of nowadays are the more specialized, more highly educated entrepreneurs who are coming in the field, who are making big business. And again, let's not mix those two concepts. You've got to be able to acquire knowledge at a certain speed and depth to be a good entrepreneur. Otherwise, you're not going to grow very much.
So depth, let's focus on depth. Yeah.
Right.
People, when they want money, they want it quick.
Right.
And people are encouraged when they start up something, aim for the quick money first. Yeah. If you do that, don't you lose the depth?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, these are what I call the bubble entrepreneurs. And we see that a lot of them in even the local markets, bubble entrepreneurs. They just come out like a bubble. You hear about them at a certain time. There's a big bang and then it disappears. They're no longer in the market because they have not gone deep into an actual core business, and they haven't even worked on their personal, integration of the entrepreneurial lifestyle Entrepreneurship changes you as a person. I mean, I for one, have really been affected by it. I would say that 80% of my beliefs and values regarding money and commerce have completely changed because of entrepreneurship. You know, the way I used to even look at buying something, buying a handbag, or spending money. My mom actually says, if she's listening, and she would laugh now, because she says, subhanallah, the people who make money, suddenly they become so stingy. You know, they don't want to spend. It's not that I'm stingy, but I'm so careful now because I'm so careful about how I spend the money I've made.
That is true. I mean, all our parents, they do tell us, well, when you make money, you wouldn't spend it the way you spend it now. When we were little, you ask for money and then you just waste it. And always we get this message: when you earn your money, you'll know how to look after it. And that's exactly what happens. You value it.
But you know, there's a different angle to it when you're an entrepreneur and you're the sole source of the money, being that it's not a salary. You're not going to get paid next month for sure. You've got to make sure that there's enough business coming into the company to pay everyone else's salary before even your own. So then the value of money takes a completely different angle, if you know what I mean, because it's not just a salary. I can spend it this month and then next month I'm going to get, the whole evaluation
There
changes.
are two questions here that come to my mind. One is, does it improve the people's sense of responsibility? Because when you get a salary, regardless of your performance, what does it do to you? Does it? I believe that it really kills you as a human being, especially if you're not aware of it, and you take advantage of it and just ride the wave, and go with the wind. It just kills you as a human being, and you tend to see irresponsible citizens within society. Entrepreneurship, will it solve or even try to solve that problem?
You know, I believe so, but I go back to saying true entrepreneurship, not just commerce. There's a big difference between being a trader or just a person who's in commerce and being an entrepreneur. I think true entrepreneurship, absolutely. I believe it changes even your values towards society, in helping out, in being a catalyst of change. There's a very interesting study that I recently discovered. It's a field of study that does a lot of research about entrepreneurship and democracy, and how entrepreneurship throughout history has always been the silent catalyst of social good. It's always been there at the heart of it throughout history. So it's really interesting, even for us as a nation, Oman today, to not just say we want to support entrepreneurs to diversify the economy. No, we want to support entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship to really bring up the quality of life and wealth of the nation, and wealth not just being financial wealth or like commodities, the wealth of the people as people in their knowledge, their habits, their lifestyle. You know what I mean? The character, absolutely.
And especially when we talk about responsibility, perseverance,
yes.
and determination. And I think it builds a more courageous human being. The element of fear tends to fade away.
I don't know if it ever fades away, but absolutely, I agree with you. It's there is more, I wouldn't say control, but there is more management of fear. You can certainly manage your fear better and know how to retaliate in such circumstances. So definitely, and this is where pushing yourself outside your comfort zone makes you really grow as a leader, as a human being, as a person. Your character flourishes and matures so quickly.
Okay, that was the first part of my question. The second question is that when you said you need to pay other people's salaries before you pay yourself.
Absolutely.
And if you stop work, then everything else stops. It seems as if you are in a treadmill
Oh, yeah.
And you have to
Yes.
keep going all the time.
Yes.
People in paid jobs complain about stress.
Oh, no. They don't know what stress is like. But, I really believe it depends, doctor, because at the end of the day, if you love what you do, it stops being a job. And this is the essence of entrepreneurship. Do not get into a business unless you really, truly love what you do. And, if it's a love affair, everything else can completely just, disappear. If you love what you do, the stress is an enjoyable stress, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You grow with it. Every day is a challenge. You never complain, and I think it's all about really loving what you do. And that's another art of living, is just being able to love what you do.
Basically, it's passion.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Be passionate
absolutely.
about what you do. Do not be forced to do something that you really don't like.
Yeah.
Don't do it just for the money, because you'll end up doing something you don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned about having the social element in entrepreneurship.
Right.
Isn't that sustainability? Isn't
Yeah,
this the
absolutely.
main, definition of sustainability? Is when people in the early 70s realized that the way we do things really doesn't work. It will harm us socially, because probably at the early 70s, it didn't start yet harming people the way we see today,
Yeah.
but more towards the environment. Yeah. But if we focus on the social aspect, if adding the social aspect into entrepreneurship, and that is the element that will give it sustainability,
Yeah.
are we saying that any entrepreneur or businessman that does not have the social element will fail?
I would say they will be filtered out of the market. Today's market forces show us that for you to succeed in any market, you've got to have a social aspect. At the end of the day, you've got to be able to communicate directly with your end consumer or end, customer.
Yeah.
So if there is no social aspect to it, you might make a buck or two, but at the end of the day, you will be filtered out. I mean, and by the way, big companies and big corporates are wisening up to this. They are realizing that if they do not incorporate the social good in their business, they will very soon be out of the market, because people are so aware nowadays and so connected that you cannot help but you've got to listen to the conversation that they're having.
Yeah. Dear listeners, today's show is on entrepreneurship. You're listening to The Art of Living on 90.4 FM with our guest, Sharif Al-Bar'ami. Please call us on 24602058, 24602058, and give us your opinions. We've touched very early on being an employee. Now, a lot of people cannot be entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
So is it...
and vice versa. A lot of people cannot be employees.
That is
I,
true.
for one, couldn't. I mean, when I graduated from... I actually did biomedical science.
Okay.
So my field of study is very far away from a business, really. However, I think the research methodology that I've learned at university helped me out a lot in being able to do market research and what have you. But I worked at the public sector for 7 years as an employee, and I to me, I couldn't take it very much longer. Not for anything, but I felt that I learned what I needed to learn, and I reached a point where, when I wanted to make changes, and I kind of had wings to fly, and I couldn't fly because, of course, I'm just one small integral part of the bigger picture. It was difficult. And so when I set out to set up my business, of course, the beginning was crazy. The first year, we lost a lot of money. I think we hardly broke even. I didn't receive not even 20% of what I used to make in the job as an employee.
For how long?
1.5 years. 1.5 years, really. I mean, I remember there were months when there was nothing to be given to me, basically, as a business owner.
Allow me to
Sure.
ask. At that time, did you have kids?
I didn't have children, but I was married.
You are married.
And I had a loan. I had a car loan, which I don't have today. And this is another thing. The first thing we do when we get into the job is take out a loan to get a car or house or, I don't know, get married for some guys. So the first thing I did, like all the other Omanis who did that, is get the job, get that letter, go to the bank, get a loan, get a car. So when I resigned, I still had, I still had installments pending to the bank. So essentially, the first 2 years, I was really just working. Whatever I'm making, I was paying back part of that loan. And so that was the first lesson I learned in my entrepreneurial journey. Never take a loan, because you are not working for the business, you're working for the bank.
Yeah.
Employees, it's the same. You're not in a job, you're working for the bank, because you're stuck in your job and you cannot resign because of the loan, right?
Yeah.
That means that you're not working for that company. You're
True.
working for the bank.
True.
To pay the bank. So the first goal I put was to pay that debt completely and never take a debt out. Alhamdulillah, I'm completely debt free and so comfortable. Alhamdulillah. And again, I say Alhamdulillah 1,000 times, because not everyone can do that. It takes a lot of, maybe the situation was easier. I still didn't have kids. My husband and I believe in the same thing, so both of us believed that both of us shouldn't have debts, and we just worked, rather than working on, for example, going on vacations or, buying a bigger house or a nicer car. It was, no, let's pay off the debts, and then we can make money.
That's great. The reason I ask that is that because entrepreneurship is about risk.
Yeah.
And people at very early stage of their lives, they will be prepared to take any risk.
Right.
Or some risks. However, if it is like me, I would say I'm married, I have 5 children.
MashaAllah.
If I stop working today, I'm not saying this is me, but I'm echoing what a lot of people would say.
Yeah.
I have 5 children. What happens if for a year and a half, I don't have an income? How do I be an entrepreneur? I feel it's not my place in the workplace, but how do I deal with that? We'll answer this question after this call. We'll take a call.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Dr. Weil, I'm Shaheen with you.
Alaikum salam, Shaheen. How are you doing?
I'm not so fine because your host, Lamia, is not there.
I'm
missing her today, but I have a question for your guest speaker, Sharifa.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, should all entrepreneurs invest capital of their own if they want to start a business, if they do not have the required funds to do so?
Okay. Hi, Shaheen. Thank you
Hello.
for your question.
Sorry?
Thank you for the question.
All right. Welcome.
So should all entrepreneurs invest capital? Well, if they have the capital, I would say yes, they should. You see, the issue of seed capital to start a business is a big issue, especially for us here in the region, I would say, not just Oman. In other countries, in the West, for example, and some countries like in the East as well, they have something that's called angel investors, okay? And angel investors are usually people who are willing to put in some of that capital. Before the angel investors, there's something else that's called the FFFs, which are basically friends, family, or fools who are willing to let go of their money for you. So we usually say, if you have a friend, a family, or someone who's just crazy enough to give you the money, believes in you, then yes. I would definitely say the person, if they have the capital, they should invest it, because there is no better way to take complete responsibility of the decisions being made unless it is your own capital, your own money, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So what about partnership then?
In what sense?
In the sense that you know something called as a sleeping partner and
Yes.
an active partner.
Yeah.
What about a person who is very active in the business but does not invest his own capital, whereas the opposite person is doing so for the company?
I think you're kind of almost talking about hidden trade. Now, if we come to hidden trade, it's a completely different cuttlefish. I think at the end of the day, in partnerships, my take on it, if both partners are happy with the situation, it's a legal binding commitment from both parties. They were both happy to do so. Now, if one of the partners starts getting unhappy because, as you said, he's doing all of the work, whereas the other partner is just a sleeping partner. This is something that should be discussed between the partners and made very clear and transparent. You know, again, as we mentioned, and Dr. rightfully mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship and especially partnerships are like marriage. You know, if one of the partners is not happy, the more you delay it, the worse it's going to get. And then you will get into a very ugly divorce or, you know, going into the courts with your partners. And that's why I would always say, be very open, be very comfortable with the agreements, draft everything legally and very clearly in the legal document. And if at some point you are uncomfortable with the situation, do revisit that contract and change the terms.
Okay. Very well answered. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you all. Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. So, risk, family, and entrepreneurship. Is it advisable for someone in this situation to take that risk and be an entrepreneur and get outside their comfort zone?
You know, a question like that is so difficult to answer because at the end of the day, each individual situation is different. I think it would really depend on the person. It would depend on the support network that person has. It would depend on so many different aspects that no one could ever tell you if it's the right time for you to just jump in and dive into entrepreneurship. You know, it's a very personalized decision that no expert, I mean, even the best of the best, Bill Gates couldn't give you the best advice there, you know.
Yeah.
He's not in your shoes. So it really completely depends on the person and the support network.
Okay, now from the business point of view, how long does it take, to make money? You said a year and a half where it was, life was tough. When the business doesn't make anything for 2 years, 3 years, maybe 4 years, is it time to reconsider?
Well, I would reconsider much earlier than 5 years. No, again, it would really depend. Different businesses and different industries have a different, what we call a business life cycle. Okay. So different life cycles for different industries. Generally speaking, on average, in Oman, our cutoff point is somewhere between 2.5 to 3 years. If you're not really making money by 2.5 to 3 years, get a day job.
Yeah.
or reevaluate your business model, maybe your customer segment. Maybe there's a problem with your value proposition. Maybe your revenue stream is not so well, tweaked. Again, it's not just about setting up a shop and then opening it up and waiting for people to come. There is so much more scientific basis and foundations and tools that you need to be using in the very beginning of the startup stage. I mean, this is what we teach and what we focus on in our trainings is your business model creation methodology, and how often do you go back to retest your hypothesis. I assumed that people wanted to buy this paper, okay, but then when I went into the market, I discovered that people wanted a red paper. So I have to go back and rechange my business plan and say, we're not going to make white paper, we're just going to focus on red paper. But if I keep on forcing white paper into the market, it's just going to mean I'm going to spend money and waste it, and I won't reach very far.
True, that's true. Now, every now and then, I will try and relate whatever we say about entrepreneurship into life. Now, what you have just said about re-evaluating your position and looking back at what you do and enhance, that is actually part of our teachings.
Yes.
That is part of Islam. That is part of us in our culture, that we discipline ourselves before we get disciplined.
Yes.
حاسبوا أنفسكم قبل أن تحاسبوا. It is part of our lives to look back at our mistakes, reconsider, reevaluate, and start again. So there is a lot of interaction, or let's say overlap, between the values of entrepreneurship and the normal values of life. Why the fear?
It's really funny. I think it's not just even, it's almost in all religions. It's like a humanity concept that, to be a better human, you've got to really reevaluate and keep on reflecting. Why do people fear? I think there's a lot of, I won't say faults, but challenges in the way we upbring our children. The upbringing, definitely, there is a complete terror, I would say, and I would use terror of failure. We not just fear it, but we really, panic at the even thought of failing at school or failing at a venture that you got into, failing in presenting something in front of a group. And this fear of failure or terror of failure makes our learning curve so flat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, you're not going to learn anything by not failing.
True.
And so again, I think upbringing has a lot to do with it. I would say to the listeners, please, please, please be aware of how you handle your children and how you accept their failures. I would almost say push them to fail, allow them to make failures in a safe environment so that tomorrow they are better citizens and humans, for the world.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship, when we described it earlier, we said it is about taking risk. It is about values that we live in, day out, day in. It's about the character, not what you know. It's how you behave. Yeah. And the reason we needed to focus on the personality aspect is that when we try as a country today to encourage entrepreneurs, it is somewhat a little bit late what we tend to do, because we tend to focus on people who are already matured. I'm not saying deprive them. No, we need at all levels to encourage people to be entrepreneurs, even retirees, because there are people with a wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
I would even prefer the route of retirees for a nation rather than unless they're going to really invest in innovation per se. But this just support entrepreneurship for the sake of entrepreneurship, just so that people open a commercial registration, it doesn't work, and it's not going to work. I think we're going to learn the lessons maybe late, but we're going to waste a lot of time and money in doing that. Focus on opportunity entrepreneurs who have the potential to grow, scale up, and create jobs. If it's a person who needs, their daily bread, just the daily bread, they're not going to be interested in taking the risk. They will open a corner shop and they will just keep it at that.
Yeah.
They might hire 2 people, but maximum at 2 people, they get their daily bread and khalas, they're happy.
They're happy.
These are necessity entrepreneurs. They are termed necessity entrepreneurs. They're doing it out of necessity, and they're not going to be able to really diversify the economy. Do you know what I mean? Or create jobs.
If we want to really encourage entrepreneurship in Oman, we need to focus on the youngsters. And you touched on upbringing, and that's what I would like to emphasize on is it's about how we behave. It's about our character. And to do that, we need the cooperation of families, of parents and schools, and start at a very early age to upbring our children, not necessarily to be entrepreneurs, but to have the right set of skills. Yeah. And when I say the right set of skills, I don't talk about changing the curriculum into having the skills of counting money and, and building business plans. No, it's building a human being that is strong. Yeah. Regardless whether they choose to be preachers or they want to be entrepreneurs. But we want to build strong human beings. Yeah.
Totally agree. I think in Arabic there's a term that's coined. I mean, in English it's entrepreneurship, but in Arabic there are 2 terms. We use riyadat al-a'mal or isamiyin. And I prefer the word isami. And isami means characteristically you are a person of value. You are a person who creates value, who knows how to scan for value, capture value, retranslate that value. We need more Isamiyin
Yes.
in our community.
Yes. So if you interpret that into Arabic, the word Isamiyin is more focused on the values of the person. Riyadat al-A'mal is related mostly on business and what they do, on not focusing on the individual. I really like that. So it really builds a stronger society when we have people who are Isamiyin, entrepreneurs. It's not about money. It's about, making decisions to help others as well.
Absolutely. You could be at a job. I mean, you could be like the CEO of a corporate or just a managing manager or general manager, and you could still be Isami.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to have your own business. This is the other concept that, to be a Isami, it is a person of value, a person who creates value. And this is why in the West now they have another term, which is intra-entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship, which is entrepreneurship within the corporate. Okay. Inter rather than enter with an I.
Yeah, and I think it's just a new term, but the concept is old because we are always taught, even in a corporate environment in which I work in, we were always told to take ownership.
Yes.
Yeah, take ownership of the work you do.
Yes.
Yeah, as if it is yours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you lose it, then you've lost your own thing.
Yeah.
So it's not a very old concept.
Right.
It's relatively new, but it's being implemented more and more in corporate environments.
Right.
Dr. Lamia, just before we spoke, she said, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Probably it's not for me. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. But listening to the definition, I don't know if she's listening or she's having a rest, but if she's listening to this definition of being Isamiyin, I'm sure she'd jump and say, no, I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because knowing her and, for example, being here and doing this show for the sake of the community, it's part of being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Starting from an idea and executing it in the way that she does, it is part of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's very entrepreneurial, certainly. I mean, again, it's the measures you take to push yourself outside your comfort zone, like volunteering. You're not getting anything in return, to create value for the community, you know, or for the customers. It's the same thing, really.
Thank you. Dear listeners, you're listening to The Art of Living. This is 90.4 FM. We'll stop briefly for the call of prayers and we'll see you shortly.
The Art of Living. The Art of Living.
Dear listeners, welcome back to The Art of Living. You're listening to 90.4 FM and today's show is on entrepreneurship with Sharif Al-Bar'amiyya, who is our guru here in Oman on entrepreneurship. You can join us on 24602058. That's 24602058. Sharifa, slavery, if we want to revisit that.
Yeah. On the way here, I heard you, Doctor, talking about slavery and how some people or some, even in the media, it's been used a lot that, you don't be a slave to your job. I think we have to be careful also about using that terminology in the sense that even as an entrepreneur, I mean, if you're going to use the concept of slavery, you're also a slave to your own business or slave to the customer or, again, and I think we were talking about if you want to be your own boss and that's why you start your own business, think twice because you're not going to just be the boss. Everybody else is going to boss you as well. Your employees could be your boss. Your, the banks, the customers. If they decide what happens with you, then essentially they are the boss.
Yes. So if you're a woman, you have more chance to be a boss because at least at home you will be. Yeah, we think that we are bosses at home. However, we have. I have 6 bosses at home. My 5 children and my wife.
Allah yahfadhum. We all. I mean, I have a 5-month-year-old boy, and he's definitely the boss at the moment.
MashaAllah. Yes, they are. Don't be very emotional. This is a message to the listeners. Don't be very emotional about the word because of someone very influential mentioned it. Think about things. Use your own intellect. Think very carefully about what you hear. I know that a lot of people have heard this. Dr. Tariq Al-Sudan, even the late Sheikh Alfan Al-Aisri, I've heard him using this. I love him dearly. I don't agree
Yeah.
with this. Yeah, as you said, and very, very nicely, you've covered it very well, that no matter what you do, you will be a slave for something
Right.
or someone in your life.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to be careful. And this is why, when we mentioned earlier, you've got to make it, it's about values. It's about social impact. It's about how much you contribute to society. And it's never about the money. Money is a side thing. It's almost like money is the oasis. If you think you're going to get to it, you never will. Forget it, it comes. Create value, the money will follow. So again, slavery, you will slave to something or another. Just be careful not to get carried away.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. What would be your final message to parents and to society as a whole in terms of encouraging the qualities, let's say, of entrepreneurship? Let's not say entrepreneurship, but
Right.
the qualities that would help people be better citizens and better entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing is to encourage, I wouldn't say encourage failure, but to embrace failure. If your children are about to fail or they showed some kind of failure, do not reprimand them. Take it in, absorb it, turn it into a learning process. Teach them to learn from failures. That's how they develop the skill that it is not failure. Failure is merely a term. It is a learning process. I need to do this in this way to know how not to do it again.
Okay. Certain qualities. If I ask you, just mention 3 qualities.
Of good entrepreneurs?
Yes.
I would say very humble. Humility is the number one character of an entrepreneur. You've got to be very humble, unattached to the money side. You manage the money, you own the money, it doesn't own you. And thirdly, social, very social connected, in a sense that it's about social value. How much value can I put in within my community, even if it's not from my business, but whatever money I make, a little bit should be sadaqah that goes out and back into the community.
Okay. 3 emotions. Should we involve emotions in entrepreneurship?
Emotions are there. I mean, I always say leave the emotions at the door when you manage the business. So it depends. There are 2 different levels. If you're going to evaluate and manage the business, leave the emotions out of it. You've got to be very level-headed in that sense.
But people say, emotions are good as a driver, Passion is an emotion, isn't it?
Passion, I don't know if is it an emotion. It's a trait, right? I mean, maybe this is where we might...
Okay, then 3 emotion.
Right.
Yeah, definitely a no-go.
No-go. 3 emotions which are a complete no-go. Not listening, for sure. Okay. You've got to be a very good listener to be a good business owner or an entrepreneur. Making haste judgments, taking risks without calculating it. Again, I'm not talking about emotions, right? Because I could never relate emotions to business.
What about fear?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, fear. Yeah, fear. Yeah, don't be afraid. There should be some aspect of fear, but calculated rather than, not really fear, but, everything in life is a risk. You've got to just calculate that risk.
Hate?
I wouldn't even put it there.
Really? Because
people who hate don't make good business,
Exactly. There is competition, but there isn't, hate. So teach your children not be afraid.
Absolutely.
Teach your children not to hate anyone, anything. Yeah?
Yes.
What about depression? Yeah? And beating up yourself?
Oh, you could never do that. If you want to be a good entrepreneur, you've got to always dust yourself up and rise to the challenge and take it on again,
Thank you very much, Sharif Al-Barami. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shukran jazeelan. Shukran, Victor. Thank you to the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And see you tomorrow, inshallah, in a brand new show. You've been listening to The Art of Living. See you tomorrow, inshallah, with me, Wa'il Harrasi and Lamia Al-Hajj. Assalamu alaikum.